Click.
It's fine. It's just interesting that everything is men's fault when it comes to how these gender roles are enforced. But the reality is, a lot of women subscribe to it of their own volition. And when men actually encourage y'all to abandon those roles, you're like, no, we're not doing that. When men are like, hey, why don't y'all propose? You guys are like, I would never. That's disgusting.
Yeah,
we want to be treated equal. We want to be treated equal. All right, carry that part.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh. Whoa, hold on a second. This is from 3 years ago. Did Alvin Preach just tell the future? Everybody, come on, look up. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm aronmsound, and this is the show known as Lookup, where I, interject myself into conversations that not a single sane-minded person invited me to be a part of. And, such is life. But that doesn't stop me. And seriously, I like to expand the conversation into places it was never meant to go. Uncomfortable hands. Hold on. Uncomfortable hands. Oh, did you hear the little graggle? The graggle? Anyways, let's move on, because I want to get into Abba and Preach's living room. Did Abba and Preach just... Hey, whoa. This is kind of cool. Can I hang out here, guys? Engineer that... Oh, the engineer that isn't there today. So, because I'm somewhere, wherever. Oh, Quebec? Oh, it's Montreal. One of my favorite cities. Please, if you're from Montreal, have a coffee at Eva B's for me. Goodness gracious, love that place. I will sit in there all day and end up walking out of there spending way too much money at the end of the day. Because Gabriel, the owner, boy, that if he's still with us, that guy, he knows how to get me to buy a bunch of stuff. Anyways, yeah. What are we doing today? I am reacting to Alvin Preach telling the future. So let's hear what they got to say, okay? This is amazing. This is from 3 years ago. And essentially they're referring to issues that we now talk about in the Andrew Tate manosphere that I'm so, commonly referring to as the 6'4" hamster in the Miami lounge suit inside of a ball running around on the beach asking people if they want a drink. So yeah, picture that in your mind's eye. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, today, as you saw, they were talking about this topic. Well, let's hear what they have to say, because this is amazing. Totally. Okay. Let's see what they have to say.
You know how much I want a lady to pay for my meals?
See what you do? You did it again. You never learn.
What?
What
the fuck you think is gonna happen in the DMs? Huh?
Oh.
Motherfuckers from Chicago, Atlanta, California could pay for your meal, Abba.
Listen.
Hey, if you want to pay for my meal, trust me, I'll have that same look Abba does it. Yeah, anyhow, let's roll it back to the beginning. Because this is really important.
Okay, but you... So a womanist for the Atlantic wrote this article that I really like. It says if you want marriage of equals, then you have to date as equals.
3 years ago.
And this sociologist, what she found was that women who claim to be womanists actually have very regressive views when it comes to their dating lives. And she is shocked. None of the women considered proposing marriage. That was a man's job, they said. I know it feels counterintuitive. I'm a womanist, the first said, but I like having the guy to be chivalrous. Equality in the streets, gender norms in the sheets.
Whoa! Talk about a call of the future! Holy mackerel, if he didn't just nail it on the head, if this Renaissance man isn't Sherlock Holmes himself, isn't that Watson? He can see the future in his face. He sees it all the way forward. He's like, Preach is just like, I can see our future, you son. You shall go to the fresh and the fits, and you shall decide that they are wrong, and destiny shall be your friend, and you shall guide them. Sorry, Preach is like my age, so I think, why did I just make him like Gandalf? What happened there? He is kind of Gandalf, isn't he? He's the Watson to to the Renaissance Sherlock Holmes over here of ABBA. And by the way, great respect for these two gentlemen who have paved the way. They are the godfathers of this reaction video stuff. I would not have... Well, actually, I blame Pearly Things. Because I just started screaming at the screen, and I was like, you know what? I know how to do this. I've already done this. I think it's time I get back to this. I've got some time on my hands right now. Let's get at it. And but I've learned a lot from this from watching their show, and I get such a kick out of it. Anyways, so let's see what this is all about, because the future was had here. Oh hey.
Oh, you got the flu or something?
I got AIDS.
Oh.
Heterosexual women of a progressive bent often say they want equal
needs a
partnerships
hi-hat,
with
right?
men. But dating is a different story entirely. The women I interviewed for a research project and book expected men to ask for, plan, and pay for dates, initiate intercourse, confirm the exclusivity of a relationship, and propose marriage.
So yeah, that's kind of been. I was told when I was a young man that I should expect that women would end up being equal, and that the idea was that we'd end up seeing, both genders, anybody be able to, ask you to marry the other person and or whatever. It was gonna be whatever. So much so that MTV started popularizing, and you kids don't remember this, the triple kiss, the three-way kiss at spring break madness. Stuff that's still important, but not like it was where it was MTV. You just watch it for like a week of people just being just messy drunk. Doing strange things and showing. Like, that's where the whole Girls Gone Wild thing comes from. Okay. So, yeah, you don't remember the whole metrosexual push and the wet look. I had the wet look. I gave the wet. Anyways, any cringe. That whole period is cringe. I think for the entire world. There was so much depth and liquid gel being used. It's just, everything smelled like Dracarna and Fendi. It really did. Anyway, these guys remember. See that face? He remembers. All right, what did they say?
Setting all those precedents, these women then wanted a marriage in which they would have shared financial responsibilities, housework, childcare relatively equally. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Almost none of my
Equality.
interviewees saw these dating practices as a threat to their womanist credentials.
Oh, that's an interesting change in 3 years, because we know of the most recent studies that actually seems to be a threatening position for people between the ages of 25 to 30.
Or to their desire for egalitarian marriages. But they were wrong.
Absolutely. I've been having conversation with a lot of women this time.
Yeah.
Like my friend, and when I talk to them, I'm like, yo, what are you even talking about?
Right.
You fluke.
Yeah.
You're against everything. Yeah, but it's just different. And they just go on this tangent that there are a lot of things like that for the dating side, but for the rest of the world, it's up. I'm like, no, you can't just, what?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's called being convenient and no! That's called being convenient and logic, by the way. And the real issue here is, and that what we're not talking about is the issue, by the way, it crosses gender lines. So put it aside. You can point fingers all day long. It's about arrogant, self-absorbed, solipsistic people. It's just that simple. If you're that self-absorbed that you need to confuse and or create a drama because you think somebody else needs it to keep things interesting, or you want somebody to do something for you as a potential ownership situation, even though you don't share it with them. If you want things that are self-absorbed and driving from your own needs, you call it what you want. The term is arrogant, self-absorbed, egomaniacal, solipsistic. It's just that simple, and it comes from adolescent behavior, thinking that because you've done so many bad behaviors that people just leave you to be, that it's okay. And you've come to believe that silence is an allowance. And that's everybody else's around your fault. And this comes down to some people can force reality because they've manifested it to the point where their horrible personhood is unaffected by their own actions just simply because nobody wants to deal with the insanity that comes out of the cognitive dissonance, meaning like when you confront somebody and you say, hey, that's not how it is, and they just the volcanoes erupt. Yeah, so oftentimes in society nowadays, what we hear is that silence is complicity, essentially. And it's not just complicity, it is allowance and validation for those who would do terrible things, which is why we have TikTok. Let me just boil it down. We have TikTok because people have been allowed to just be shitty human beings. Okay? Is that enough? Is that clear? Yeah.
I got more for you.
Okay.
But I did expect to hear progressive views. Most wanted equal partnerships where they could share both financial and family responsibilities. Almost everyone I interviewed was quite vocal of their support for gender equality and didn't shy away from the womanist label. However, I noticed a glaring disconnect between the straight women's views on marriage and their thoughts on dating. Once these women were married, it was difficult to right the ship, so to speak. The same gender stereotypes that they adopted while dating played out in their long-term relationship.
So you hear what I'm saying is that the ideas were self-propagating imagination. It was something you want to believe in, but then you don't follow through with. And the truth of that stuff is that most of the time people don't want to put the effort in. Because relationships and interpersonal relationships aren't easy. It's easier to just keep moving on and go for the dopamine and the oxytocin. You know? And people in the modern day seem to have so much access that they've lost the meaning of just simple companionship. Which is what it is that we're actually talking about here. But until people decide and figure out for themselves in perspective, like looking back 3 years ago and looking at the term feminism having been attempted to be changed by some, angle, let's say, at the time period, which didn't take, and the memory of which seems to have just disappeared, which is another telltale sign of a construct in this prison that we love to build for ourselves, right here in the obelisk tower that feeds all of this behavior. So we don't look up at those people that benefit from the immorality, from the fight over the morality and the ethics and the good versus not good and the me versus you and the them versus they and the I versus we. Let's stop playing that game. That's what I'm saying. And I have brought a sledgehammer of logic and behavior to smash with just a little touch of the silly so they don't catch up. Your cell, so you don't have to keep flinging all that bedazzled poop at your neighbors in their cell and the cell above and below you. Because it's just a long, tall funnel where we eat the scraps that fall from above. Meanwhile, back at the Abba and Preach Cave.
And yet, in a throwback to earlier era...
Yeah, I did stop myself. Get out of my brain. Get out of my brain. Get out of my brain!
Many women I spoke with enacted strict dating rules. It's a deal breaker if a man doesn't pay for the date. One woman, aged 29, told me. A 31-year-old said that if a man doesn't pay, they just probably don't like you very much. A lot of men, they assumed, were looking for nothing more than a quick hookup. So some...
Wait, did you notice that both old men just made the same look like... Oh my God. By the way, can I just say this? I am not an MRA person by any means. You've probably watched my other videos if you're watching this. But ladies in the audience, in the world, women that we love, which are everybody, we just love you, okay? We're men. We're built to love you. We just love you. Listen to us See, what you probably wanted to do was argue with me right away. No, you don't. Stop. That's the problem. You don't need to argue with us. You need to hear us and then listen to what we're saying about ourselves. Don't worry about what we say about you. You can ignore that. That's fine. I'm talking about what we say about ourselves. That needs to be heard, about our needs, about our interests, and that has to be respected because you don't. And it's all the reasons are just selfish and solipsistic and adolescent. Because it sounds more like you just don't want to put in effort and you want somebody to care for you like you're a regal queen. And I think that Disney stuff has gone to people's heads. But that is a whole other portion of this very serious conversation that I keep tampering with the idea that the construct is right in front of us and we build it for ourselves. And I want us to take it seriously because it leaves people sad and unhappy and not experiencing life to its fullest, to love each other and care about one another and care about the lives that we all experience together. And what that does is it actually erodes reality. Forget about society. Society will always reform into this thing, but reality is formed by our joint agreement. The protons form based off of our observation. Look it up.
Hi guys. Were tests to see whether the man was truly interested in a commitment. She couldn't believe it.
I'm not surprised at all. I remember one day I had this huge conversation with one of my womanist friends, and I was like, ugh, girl. Makes no sense.
That just gets me.
Back home, and I was like, yo, I asked my wife, I'm like, yo, Stephanie, are you a womanist? And she's like, nope, don't forget to pick up the trash. That's your job. And she left.
Nope, don't forget to pick up the trash. That's your job. Let's push this a little bit forward, shall we?
Situation.
And it's funny how you guys say you want men to support your professional goals and all that stuff when you start a family. But the reality is, as soon as a family starts, a lot of y'all still want...
Hey, switch.
It's fine. It's just interesting that everything is men's fault when it comes to how these gender roles are enforced. But the reality is, a lot of women subscribe to it of their own volition.
Which, by the way, hey, look, all of that is fine. I think the thing that comes down to separating everybody is that the simplification and the convenience with which those options are had by one group of people. And then the rest of us are left to deal with whatever you choose. That's just selfish. And if you say, well, yeah, we've done this, stop. All you're doing is trying to validate bad behavior. That's it. You're supposed to grow out of that when you were a kid. And it's not one gender or any gender. It's people. It's humans. The things that I'm talking about, unless you ready for the beat? You ready for the beat? You ready for this? Ready? It's about being accountable and being a grown-up and not being a crappy person. It's just that simple. It's not that fancy. It doesn't take a lot of psychology. It's just simply, don't be crappy. Don't take advantage of other people. Stop looking for the easiest way out so that you can steal from people. Because essentially, it boils down to a form of disingenuousness or thievery or, taking from other people where you haven't earned it. We all deserve happiness and health and life. And a good life. But there's only so much. Now, if we shared it all equally, that would be great. But, there's always somebody who's going to create a situation that's, hoarding. So that's something we should be looking towards. And the reason that we're not, and we're having this conversation about, he said, she said, he said, they, we, us, me, no, is so that somebody else can eat all the bananas. Literally. We feed and buy and purchase and create a whole process that's just a Tower of Babel that feeds all of the wealth and our experiences and the good times. It feeds it all up to the top. to a very tiny 1% of 1%. That you may argue, oh, they have to exist. No, they actually don't. They are manufactured, and all of the structure around them that keeps them in place is manufactured alongside the scarcity of love, of items, of money, of upward mobility, of positive ideology, of a free will. All of that. It's all tied together. And as we fight amongst ourselves, yeah, that's the look you should have on your face. Because this dating thing, the red pill stuff, it seems simple, but it's plants to spin people in circles while the greatest theft of humankind is going on. But that's a whole other video.
And actually encourage y'all to abandon those roles. You're like, no, we're not doing that. When men are like, hey, why don't y'all propose? You guys are like, I would never. That's disgusting. We want to be treated equal. We want to be treated equal. All right, carry that part. Actually, you know how much I want a lady to pay for my meals?
Yeah, right? It's happening. Hey, no, it's very much happening. I've been taken out. I just recently, actually.
What do you think is going to happen in the DMs?
High school friend.
Oh.
Mom from Chicago, Atlanta, California. Could pay for your meal, Abba.
Listen, you can wine and dine me, okay? But you better come correct, because I ain't dating down.
Yeah, seriously.
You're stupid for
I only date the bad.
I can do bad about myself. I'm just saying. Hey, listen, you ladies, you want to take me out for dinner? Let's go. Let's go. I think my karma's due, because I've been taking out a lot of people out for dinners. Ladies, you want to start doing some proposing? Let's go. My thing needs some ringers. My thing needs some ringers.
I feel you. Can I get some bedazzly bling? Come on. Someone? Anyone? Bueller? No. All right. Okay. Just put the feelers out. You know, if you don't ask, you don't. No. Okay. No.
My fingers need some rings. My ring needs some fingers.
My ring needs some fingers.
My ring needs some fingers.
You know? Let's go. I'm ready to be a stay-at-home dad.
Hey, I feel that. And you know what? I think my whole generation, by the way, we all kind of wanted that. We were prepared for that. We were getting very prepared. We were very supportive and prepared for the stay-at-home dad. I'm gonna build us a house. I'm gonna build us a house. I'm gonna clean this place. I'm gonna make it the best house we've ever seen. I'm gonna put secret panels in the. Okay, so financially, after 2007, everybody realized that was never gonna happen. Plus the fact that none of us from my generation ever got asked out by a woman, and like maybe 1% of 1% ever got asked to be married by a woman. And normally, at least in this day and age, as we all know, if you're being asked to be married by a woman, it means that you were repeatedly pushed until you actually went and did the actual proposal for her. We've seen it on TikTok. So I'm just going to say that. I'm going to put it out there. I'm not going to generalize, but I'm going to totally generalize. Because I like being controversial. Anyway, what do we say?
Yeah. Huh?
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's get progressive.
That's what I got to say.
2020. New year.
2020. Remember that year? That was before, when we were all pretty and happy. Before we all went into our homes and didn't see each other for 2 years. All refreshed and wonder. In awe of the world and touching one another again. Which is, we should all have had the great revamping of the sexual revolution. What the hell happened? We came out of hiding, and then suddenly, apparently, a whole group of y'all started sleeping with 3 dudes named Keith, Kyle, and Toby. What the hell? Tyrone. I only say that because that's the name they use repeatedly. The cat has come to say hello, by the way, which he normally does about this time. That's Homer. He's down there.
No, you. Let's go. I'll work from home. I'll do this YouTube thing. You know what I mean? Come on. Come on.
Serious. Come on.
I'm thirsty at all.
No, seriously. Come on. No, seriously. Seriously. Sorry. Yeah. Look at the love in his face. He's like, more, please. Nothing's gonna harm you. No, sir. No, I'm around. Come on. You know, I mean, look at that. Look at that. He looks like he got a little halo around his face. That's amazing. I want to screenshot that. Okay, you mind if I screenshot this? Hold on a second. All right, okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. There we go.
No, this is the estrogen hitting.
Oh.
Anyhow.
Wow.
Welcome to the Krusty Krab. Ready to
Hi.
take your order.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong. I'm just really having a hard day, sir.
Let's do it. Let's get rid of these gender norms.
Yeah.
I got a bad knee, girl. You can do the
Like
bad
we can't look at how far from even that conversation that we came. Now we're talking about red pill, blue pill, black pill, trans hating. I mean, look at how far we've come from that conversation where we were actually like saying, just try to get together. And I say that this is a sales program that's convincing people all the wrong stuff that doesn't matter in order to keep you from focusing on happiness, just simple happiness. Because if you have happiness, you won't buy all the complex packages of ideas and programs and products that come with that unhappiness. And I know you know what they are. Because it's also a tribal thing. Because if you're in a certain tribe, you'll buy a whole certain package of product and ideas and programs. And you'll lean more towards, one thing or the other. But they all come with a cost. And they're all owned by the same small group of people in the end. Whether they put different names on it or let other people manage, that's neither here nor there. What I'm trying to say, and I've said it repeatedly, is that every single one of us is responsible for breaking out of our own mental prisons and then freeing our neighbors. And this mental prison is about seeing an illogical behavior and letting it fester amongst us and not saying, that's not okay. It's not okay to treat people poorly. It's not okay to leave people just behind. We're not inhumane. We're supposed to be doing better for each other. Instead, we are developing a world that's self-prophesying its own eating of itself. Nom, 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 nom. But you and I know better. I got a sledgehammer. You want to borrow it? Let's break out the prison. I just want to. Okay? Yeah, I know it's easier said than done. It's going to take us all to get together and light this fire until it turns into a huge, massive extravaganza of fireworks in the sky to take down the construct known as the obelisk. So that the Ben comes crashing down and that you and I can reap the reward and share it amongst our fellow humans. And we can stop talking about he, she, they, we, and arguing about it and just accept people. Stop arguing about whether or not you have a different color of skin. Stop arguing about whether or not you believe something different. Because when all is said and done, when the blood is in the streets, the real estate is cheap, and people will manufacture that experience for the rest of us, if they have the capability to do so. And in the end, all it takes is money and influence. And if you're at the top of the chain, you have every reason to do so. And it starts with having you and I argue about simple, innocuous, and destructive ideas that separate us in ideal and from the basic fact that you and I, don't mean to shock you, but we're human. So if there's anything I can say to you today, one, it's like and subscribe. I'm on Preach because they're amazing and they've been on forever and ever, like 5 years right now. And he's the godfather of everything like streaming and online. And he's in the DGG world and he's over there in the this and the that. I saw him on Fresh and Mental Fits. Goodness gracious, Abba. It's that comedian thing. It's because he can fly around and they can be on the show. Very smart. He's a very smart man. I like. He's a very good man. Привет. Anyways, that's for another video. Yeah, so don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for hitting the button. And, if you want to get notified, I do things like constantly. I'm just constantly doing things. So, yeah, I'm here to just, poke it all. Poke. Oh, yeah, I'd be afraid to poke. He'd knock me out. He totally would knock me. He'd just be like, fuck you. It would be that quick. He's a bouncer. I know how they work. I've seen them work. I've worked. Anyways, I'm not getting punched out. My page. All right. Okay. I like these guys a lot. Anyways, like and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining. And most importantly, as I always say, please don't forget, look up!